Hello, this is Alan, welcoming you to the 2102nd edition of the Enfield Talking newspaper, Dateline 22nd of June 2017. The readers this week are Sonia, Ros and myself, and we have Phillip on the controls. The editor was Lynnda, and the production team and distribution team, a joint venture there, is Keith, Phillip, Joan and Jean. Our title music is Country Rock Polka, composed by Pat Prix, Fernand Bouillon, Harry Breuer, and performed by Jean-Jacques Perry, and is used with his kind permission. The local stories that we will be reading come from our local newspapers, the Enfield Gazette and Advertiser and the Enfield Independent, and are their copyright. The event's information has been collated by us from other sources. The local news headlines this week include Tragedy triggers safety inspections, Police patrol stepped up after mosque attack, Care pair honoured with MBEs in Queen's Birthday Honours Bonanza. Before the news, we do have one item that I should read out to you. It's about the N21 Festival Fancy Fair, which is going to be held on Saturday the 8th of July between 10 a.m. and 7 p.m. At the Green at Winchmore Hill. It's backed by popular demand and it's bigger and better than ever. The hugely popular N21 Festival Fancy Fair will be held on Winchmore Hill Green, as I said, on the 8th of July, a Saturday. Make sure that you and your loved ones are there to join in the entertainment, food and fun. The N21 Festival Fancy Fair can trace its roots back to Victorian times, when a fancy fair was held with white tents, flags, bands and stalls full of a wonderful collection of goods. The modern version evokes the same sense of people coming together to celebrate everything that is great about being part of the local community in Enfield. With a brilliant succession of live acts on the Tessa Stevens stage, an arts exhibition, a craft fair, food stalls, free kids activities and much, much more, this is going to be a brilliant day out for the whole family. And thanks to the University of Hertfordshire, all this will take place in a traffic-free, fun-filled, safe environment. The Fancy Fair will showcase the talents, skills, experience and abilities of local artists, entertainers, craftspeople, children's groups, caterers and businesses. Everyone will come together for a uniquely entertaining celebration of our local community, so be a part of something great. For more information, you can find out online at www.n21festival.net, info at n21festival.net. That's really clever. The telephone number is 0797 985 3520. Now, just before we start to read all the items of news, you might hear a strange rustling sound in the papers. The reason is this is live broadcasting at its best. We haven't got things cut up into little pieces and neatly sticked or stamped onto a page and sellotaped and stapled and any other alliterative letter you'd like to say. It's being read from newspapers. So over to Sonia for the first item.
Tragedy triggers safety inspections. Enfield firefighters were among those who battled West London blaze. Fire risk checks have been carried out on 54 tower blocks in the Enfield borough as a safety precaution in the aftermath of the Grenfell Tower block disaster in West London. In addition to the daily inspections of the high-rise homes, a top-to-bottom audit was conducted by the council to ensure all safety precautions had been met. An Enfield Council spokesman said, "Following the tragic events in Kensington on Tuesday night, June the 13th, we are arranging a top-to-bottom inspection and audit of all our tower blocks as an additional precaution and expect to complete that process in the next couple of days." We have 54 residential high blocks in Enfield. These undergo annual fire risk assessment inspections to ensure they are safe. In addition to the annual fire safety audits, our caretakers inspect our tower blocks every day as part of their cleaning rota, remove any items from communal areas, check that fire doors are safe, and report if repairs are required. They also liaise with residents and the neighbourhood services team to maintain safety standards, address any matters of concern, and take any action required. Crews from Enfield were among firefighters from all over London who battled the blaze at the 24-storey tower block in the early hours of last Wednesday, in which 79 people are so far presumed dead or missing, although the death toll is likely to rise still further. Among the firefighters was Daniel Ali, Barnet and Enfield Community Safety Liaison and Station Manager. "We searched every room in every flat. These were unprecedented circumstances," he explained. "The flats were engulfed in flames." Mr. Ali said he couldn't give specific advice to tower block dwellers following the blaze until after a formal investigation had been carried out. "I would stress, however, that residents adhere to the safety advice given by either the owner or operator of their building," he added. This week, worshippers at a mosque in Ponders End High Street raised £1,500 in donations for the victims of the Grenfell Tower disaster. A collection bucket was left outside Enfield Islamic Centre, and members, including the Imam, Muhammad Mohuddin, distributed donations to the temporary shelters and churches in Kensington. Bottled water, clothing, and disposable cutlery were also donated for the residents affected by the blaze. "We wanted to make sure the victims knew they weren't alone," said Abdel Kader, treasurer at Enfield Islamic Centre. "It was a very emotional time."
Police patrols stepped up after mosque attack. Enfield police have stepped up their presence in the aftermath of the Finsbury Park terrorist attack. The move to increase numbers outside the 9 mosques in Enfield, including Palmer's Green and Edmonton Islamic Centre in Raynham Road, is in direct response to the atrocity which left 1 man dead and another 8 people seriously injured in the early hours of Monday morning. The attacker struck as the area was busy with worshippers attending Ramadan night prayers at Finsbury Park Mosque, and he drove a van into the worshippers outside the Muslim Welfare House. Doug Taylor, leader of Enfield Council, said, "We are shocked and saddened by the events in North London at Seven Sisters Road last night. Our thoughts are with the family of the victim and all those who are injured. London is a place of many cultures, faiths and nationalities. An attack on one community affects us all." Following the incident, we have been advised by the Metropolitan Police that people will see an increased number of officers on duty across London. In addition, security will be stepped up around local mosques in light of last night's repugnant act. These security measures will continue for as long as necessary. 8 people were taken to hospital after the attack outside the mosque, which is also a community centre, and a 48-year-old man has been arrested on suspicion of attempted murder. A statement from Palmer's Green Mosque, Oakthorpe Road, said, "As peaceful worshippers readied themselves after prayers, they fell victim to a terrible attack outside Finsbury Park Mosque. Whoever did this, if they have intentionally attacked pedestrians, are plain and simply terrorists, and should be treated as all terrorists with condemnation, and they must face the full force of the law. These times are challenging and difficult, but we pray that Allah protects us and all other peaceful peoples at this difficult time. Please look after yourselves, your friends, families, colleagues and neighbours, and remain vigilant. We won't let the terrorists win, and we will continue to go about our daily business.
Care Pair honoured with MBEs in Queen's Birthday Honours Bonanza. A hat-trick of heroes from Enfield has been named in the Queen's Birthday Honours list, recognising their commitment to public service. Foster carers Pauline and Roger Hill have cared for 17 children, some very vulnerable, since they began in the early 80s. The humble couple who live in Phipps Hatch Lane said they were delighted to both be given an MBE, but surprised because they weren't any better than any other foster carers. Now retired, they still meet up with a young man with autism once a week, and he was with them for 13 years, and he goes on holiday with them. Pauline, age 68, said, "It's the best job in the world. There are tough times, but when you see the difference in a child's life, it's incredible. We started fostering when our own 2 children were small, and it's been a great experience for them. It's been good for them to see how other people live and manage through no fault of their own." The Queen's Birthday Honours list was released on Friday, recognising more than 1,000 people. Those honoured this year include the policeman killed after confronting the Westminster attacker outside Parliament, and the heroic passerby stabbed trying to protect MP Joe Cox. Billy Connolly was given a knighthood, and actress Julie Waters was made a dame. And Heather Melville, aged 54, a banker who lives near the Ridgeway, Enfield, was given an OBE. As a staunch campaigner for equal career opportunities for women, she is the founder and global chairwoman of the Royal Bank of Scotland Focused Women's Network, promoting women within the business world. She is also on the board of directors of Enterprise Enfield. Miss Melville said, "I'm so humbled to be recognised in the Queen's Birthday Honours. It's great publicity in support of my work with women in business and start-ups to corporates. Knowing how much women contribute to the UK economy keeps me motivated in making sure we have the right infrastructure to help them grow."
Scores of people turned out on Saturday for a community picnic in the churchyard of All Saints in Edmonton. It was held to mark the start of an annual week-long arts festival celebrating the lives and legacies of Charles and Mary Lamb and the anniversary of the death of MP Joe Cox. People shared food, played games, and enjoyed the blazing sunshine in Church Street. The Lamb Festival is held each year to celebrate the famous siblings who are buried in the churchyard in Edmonton. During their lifetimes, Charles and Mary were a central part of a literary circle which included Samuel Taylor Coleridge, William and Dorothy Wordsworth, and William Hazlitt. They were the authors of essays, poems, and plays, and their most enduring literary legacy was their Tales from Shakespeare, prose versions of some of Shakespeare's plays written especially for children. Last year, hundreds of people visited All Saints in Church Street for a week of poetry, music, theatre, and a wide range of other events. Vicar Father Stuart Owen said, "There were people from the church, from the Lamb Festival, and from the Edmonton community, so there was a great atmosphere." The event was one of thousands of similar great get-together events held around the UK in memory of Joe Cox, MP for Batley and Spen, who was murdered on June the 16th last year. The closing celebration is on Friday the 23rd at 7 p.m. with prize giving and music from Tottenham Community Choir.
An Enfield police officer will stand trial after pleading not guilty to touching a female while on duty. PC Aris Mekelides, 49, who has been placed on restricted duties, pleaded not guilty to one count of sexual assault against a female over 16 years of age by touching at Southwark Crown Court last Tuesday. PC Mekelides, a serving Met officer based in Enfield, was charged by the Met's Directorate of Professional Standards on Tuesday, April the 18th, and the charge relates to an offence which is alleged to have taken place at a residential address in Enfield on Wednesday, November the 23rd, while the officer was on duty. He was arrested at Enfield Police Station following the allegation made that same day, and a trial date has been set for Tuesday, January the 2nd, 2018, at the very same court.
Residents are invited to join in a celebration to support serving troops, veterans, cadets and service families on this coming Sunday, the 25th of June. The Armed Forces Day Parade will begin at 11:40 a.m. from the Enfield War Memorial at the junction of Windmill and Chase. It should be Windmill Hill and Chase Side. The procession will take the route to the Civic Centre in Silver Street, where at noon the Armed Forces flag will be raised, followed by a cadet presentation. The parade will finish with a buffet at the Royal British Legion in Nags Head Road. Armed Forces Day is an opportunity for us to celebrate the work of the brave servicemen and women who work so hard to keep our country safe, said Councillor Yasmin Brett, Enfield Council's Cabinet Member for Community, Arts and Culture. I'd urge residents to come out and take advantage of this huge opportunity to salute the armed forces for the service and the sacrifice they make on our behalf, and also to pay tribute to the families who support them. It's important to show our respect and appreciation, so I'm looking forward to as many people as possible joining me on Sunday to thank them for their efforts.
Morning, campers! Star of Heidi High and much-loved comedy actress Sue Pollard was one of scores of revellers who had a high old time at the annual summer party in Gentleman's Row, Enfield, on Sunday. It's the 4th year the celebrity has shown up, and according to friend and treasurer Phillip, she really gets the party going. Heidi High was the TV series that immortalised British holiday camping culture, running for 8 years from 1980. Sue Pollard's character, Peggy Ollerenshaw, was known for her frizzy 80s perm and oversized glasses. The actress, now 67, still has a flamboyant dress sense in real life and greeted the people of Enfield wearing a studded dog collar and 1920s headpiece. Organised by the GRH, Gentleman's Row, Riverview and Holly Walk Residents Association, there were tacos and guacamole, real ale and cider from the New River Brewery in Hoddesdon, and live music. The Residents Association funds hanging baskets throughout that part of the borough and puts on a Christmas party each year. Last month, 2 of the younger members went down the New River that runs alongside Gentleman's Row in a boat, clearing pushchairs, car tyres and shopping bags. The treasurer, Mr. Doe, said, "We had a wonderful day with amazing weather. Sue's always great fun to have along. At one point, the sound system went down, and she became very vocal. A great day was had by all. There is a photo of the actress, Sue Pollard, toasting a great day out in Gentleman's Row with a couple of her pals. And there are 3 or 4 other photos of people catching up with each other, eating and drinking, and a group with an accordion and guitars.
A drab, unused piece of wasteland has been transformed into a landscaped area of tranquility in the very heart of Edmonton. Monmouth Road Green was officially opened by the Mayor of Enfield, Christine Hamilton, on Monday, having been regenerated with the help of green-fingered pupils from St Edmund's Catholic Primary School in Hertford Road. The open space complements one of Edmonton's most beautiful and historical significant residential area, and the land forms part of the Crescent Conservation Area in Edmonton, where Grade 2 listed buildings from the early 19th century form a crescent of terraced 4-storey houses uniquely in Enfield. The final design of the space was shaped by the local community during a public consultation last year. There is an arc of trees and curving footpath to mirror the shape of the historic crescent, as well as a central paving feature, which includes an engraving featuring a line from novelist Daniel Defoe's writing about the area. Doug Taylor, Enfield Councillor's leader, said, "This wonderful public space complements the recent council-led improvements to the Crescent, to both private properties and those owned by our project partners, Newland Housing Trust." The coordinated repairs and restoration have contributed to the uplift of the area and seen improvements for all to enjoy. The main triumph of this regeneration has been the participation of community in this project. We want people to have access to the green, open spaces and, moreover, to have a say into how their living areas are shaped. Looking ahead, we anticipate further investment into the area, which already is a thriving cosmopolitan place to live, work and be educated in, leading to a strong community focus. This project is designed to sustainably manage rainwater by allowing it to run off surrounding flower beds, and the flowers have been specifically chosen to encourage bees and butterflies to visit the area. The gardening club of St Edmund's Catholic Primary School, made up of 5 and Year 6 pupils, helped with the planting.
A man died after accident, inquest is told. A delivery driver suffered a head injury when the wheel on his hand trolley exploded while he was changing it, an inquest heard. Shaw Thomas, aged 45, from Buxton Close, Edmonton, was struck on the forehead by the metal rim of the wheel in the incident at the Lyrico depot on the Molem Trading Estate in Leaside Road, Tottenham. Fellow driver Eric Smith told the inquest, "We unscrewed about 2 nuts, and as we were about to do the third, the wheel just exploded." Another driver, Stephen McFarlane, said he heard a loud popping and turned to see that the rim had hit the roof of the warehouse and that Mr. Shaw was holding his head. He said, "It just looked like a teeny little bump, like when you've banged your head on a cupboard." The inquest at North London Coroner's Court heard how Mr. Thomas, an employee of recruitment agency the FTS Group, felt a bit dizzy, but said he was okay and didn't need medical treatment. He carried on working as normal, but went to North Middlesex Hospital just over 2 months later on July 31st, after he had suffered dizziness while decorating his house. The inquest heard he had an enormous subdural hematoma, a condition in which blood collects between the skull and the brain. Consultant neurosurgeon Joan Grieve told the inquest there had been a slow build-up of pressure in his head caused by bleeding. She said, "He arrived at the hospital just at the point when the pressure in his head was tipping from being very high to critical." Acting for Lyrico, Barrister Alice Jarrett said Miss Grieve could not be sure this was related to the incident at Lyrico. Miss Grieve said there was no evidence to suggest there was any other cause, although she said she had at first thought a relatively mild head injury at work was not the whole explanation. The inquest heard that 3 months after surgery, Mr. Thomas was transferred to the Neuro Rehabilitation Centre at Edgware Community Hospital, where he underwent physiotherapy in the gym and needed help with standing and sitting, and that he had poor short-term memory. Consultant neurosurgeon Dr. Gerard Davis said he hadn't been prescribed TED stockings for reducing the risk of deep vein thrombosis, and that the DVT he was later found to have suffered was likely to have been present before the admission to the NRC unit. Police were called after Mr. Thomas's sudden death on October the 14th last year, and his room at the NRC was initially cordoned off as a crime scene. The inquest continues.
An Enfield couple who married after a whirlpool romance 60 years ago are celebrating their diamond wedding anniversary this week. 90-year-old John Rainbow and wife Margaret, aged 80, from Chatsworth Drive, will mark the special occasion with a family get-together tomorrow. Margaret recalls how they had been dating just 6 weeks when John asked her to marry him. They met when John worked in a greengrocer's, and Margaret visited the shop to buy supplies for the staff canteen at what was then Woolworths in London Road. After frequent visits to the store, John, who was 27 at the time, plucked up the courage to ask Margaret, 17, on a date to watch a movie. Within 6 weeks, John realised she was the one and popped the question, much to Margaret's amazement. "I was only 17, said Margaret. "I was a bit young. I only had one boyfriend before John." The couple tied the knot in 1957 and honeymooned in Bournemouth for a week, which Margaret remembers involved nice long walks on the beach. For 58 years of their marriage, the couple have lived in the same house where they brought up their 2 children, Stuart and Lynnda. "We worked as a team, so we could both be independent and work," said Margaret. After they both retired at 64, the couple enjoyed holidays abroad, including trips to the States, visiting Atlanta, New York, and Vegas. They have 6 grandchildren, and John is always happy to babysit and spend time with them. The couple will mark their anniversary with a special afternoon tea at 40 Hall's Jacobean Mansion in 40 Hill, with their daughter Lynnda and granddaughter Amy, followed by a family meal. The secret to a long and happy marriage, they say, is give and take, and knowing each other through and through. "I can read him like a book," joked Margaret. "It just works. And we have always been a team." And there is a photo of John and Margaret Rainbow, looking very happy.
A banned taser was among the weapons hauls seized by cops as part of Enfield Police's 6-week crackdown on knife and drug crime. The stun gun was concealed down the waistband of a man stopped and searched by patrolling police as part of Operation Bremont. Police were alerted after spotting the man acting suspiciously, looking over a garden wall in Latimer Road, Edmonton, with his vehicle parked close by. The baton-style taser was marked with the word police, but is not an authentic police taser. Tasers are prohibited weapons in the UK, and he was arrested under Section 5 of the Firearms Act. A 38-year-old man appeared at Highbury Magistrates Court earlier this month, charged with possession of an illegal firearm. he was issued with a community order requiring the forfeiture and destruction of the weapon and ordered to carry out unpaid community work and told to pay £85 victim surcharge fine. Disclosing details of weapons recovered and arrests made, Detective Superintendent Tony Kelly said the last couple of weeks of Operation Braymont had produced excellent results. A number of 152 knives were recovered with 58 arrests for knife-related crimes, with a further 71 arrests and warnings for drugs. 15 non-bladed weapons were seized during the operation, which saw 325 stop and searches conducted and 116 weapons sweeps. Police detained 182 people during the operation, and Mr. Kelly said that following public interest in Operation Braymont, Enfield Police are investigating how many of those arrests were cautioned or charged, and we will publish these figures when available, he added.
A caring 9-year-old hopes singer Ed Sheeran will chop off her hair to donate to a charity which makes free wigs for children suffering from cancer. Alexandra Savides of Pembroke Road, Enfield, has grown her hair for the past 2 years, but decided to embark on this cutting-edge experience to help ill children. The pupil at Carterhatch Juniors in Carterhatch Lane will donate 12 inches of her tresses to the Little Princess Trust, which makes wigs for children who have lost their hair through cancer treatment. She is also raising funds for Great Ormond Street Hospital, which cares for very ill children, through an online Just Giving page. Alexandra has asked friends at school if they too would be willing to donate their hair. Her mother, Despina, said she was extremely proud of her daughter. There has been so much support from people who have sent lovely messages, and other children are more than welcome to take part, said the 36-year-old. It's a big thing to sacrifice, explained Despina. I was a little sceptical at first, but she's at that age where she wants to do things on her own. Despina said she would get in touch with the singer, Ed Sheeran's agent, in the hope that he will agree to cut off her daughter's hair. He's one of her favourite musicians, and it may be difficult to get hold of him, but it would certainly help to raise as much money as possible. Alexandra's friend, Anissa Kusagli, who goes to Chase Community School in Churchbury Lane, is also donating 12 inches of her waist-long hair. The 11-year-old, who lives in Magpie Close, wanted to raise funds for a charity after her cousin died from a brain tumour in 2015. She couldn't take the big step before to cut her hair, but her friend asked if she wanted to take part, and now she's very excited, said Anissa's mother, Askim. The schoolgirls are planning to go on this hair-raising experience in July. To make a donation to their fundraising page, you can visit www.justgiving.com/fundraising/Alexandra Friends Chop for Charity.
Now, a letter from David Burrows, the former MP for Enfield Southgate. And he writes, "May I thank the people of Enfield Southgate for the privilege and pleasure of representing you as MP for 12 years. It is a great constituency, full of great people, associations and concerns. Thank you also for the 20,634 electors who voted for me on June the 8th. This election was the third time in 20 years when a big swing has unseated the incumbent Enfield Southgate MP. Each time the result raised serious questions for the losing party and, as I said at the count, For the Conservatives, we need to develop an agenda full of hope, aspiration, and compassion. We need to reflect and listen to the result and be ready to return to the fray for the local council elections next year. I congratulate Bambos Charalambos on his victory and wish him well in his service for our local area. I now look forward to spending more time with my wife and children, who have been such great support. I will continue to champion social justice causes like recovery from addiction and homelessness. Finally, can I thank my staff who have given such loyal service for countless constituents, and especially Jane Kelly, who has worked tirelessly for me for 12 years.
And here's a few words in the letter column from Bill Linton of the Enfield Green Party. Well, what a strange election campaign and what an unexpected result. We Greens were delighted to see Caroline Lucas return to Parliament, representing the Brighton Pavilion constituency with a doubled majority, proving again what an electoral asset principles are. We are also pleased to see unprincipled Theresa May get a well-deserved bloody nose and face that next 5 years with a Tory minority government rather than the expected big majority, able to do whatever mischief it wanted. The defeat of David Burrows was another big bonus. We have too an opposition that looks like it might start to oppose and which has borrowed many of our policies, though they remain strangely ambivalent about PR. Time for a reality check, though. We still have a Tory government which pays lip service to climate change, but does all it can to trash the nascent renewables industry, while continuing to subsidise fossil fuels, which demonises welfare recipients and immigrants, which invades against terrorism while supporting and selling arms to the Saudis, and which, as I write, looks likely to form a pact with the even more odious DUP just to stay in power. But the really good news is that politics has changed. Theresa May soon be remembered as the leader who unintentionally started to political pendulum swing back leftwards.
Here's a letter from Tom Borman of Chaseside, Enfield. I was sorry to see Nick Dubois ended up unsuccessful in his attempt at re-election in Enfield North last week. I felt that Nick was a fantastic servant to his constituents during his time as MP between 2010 and 2015 and ran a very positive campaign this time around. There is no doubt that Labour secured an impressive majority in Enfield North. However, it was disappointing to read some clear untruths in Joan Ryan's campaign, he says. For example, she claimed that she protected services at Chase Farm Hospital while she was our MP. Yet it was the last Labour government, of which she was a member, that originally approved plans for the downgrade of its A&E. She also claimed that Mr. Dubois couldn't care less about Enfield. His time as MP proved that to be utterly false. Prior to the election, Miss Ryan made no secret of the fact she did not support Jeremy Corbyn as Labour leader, going as far as to write a letter to constituents saying that no one thinks Theresa May will not be Prime Minister. Now that the election is over, with Labour performing better than many polls predicted, perhaps she could tell us whether she now supports Jeremy Corbyn or not. If, as she claims, she represents all of us in Enfield North, I'm sure she won't have any problem with addressing these matters.
And now a letter from Davina Mack in Winchmore Hill. I enjoyed the Children's International Voices of Enfield, CIVE, cabaret on June the 11th, so much that my hands hurt from clapping so hard after each song. The average age of the soloists was just 14 and a half, yet they performed musical theatre and popular songs with such passion and conviction that it often made me cry. We were also treated to performances by singer and actress Joan Farrell, who brought West End glitz and glamour to the Dugdale Theatre. Joanne's coaching had enabled the children, many of whom are clearly destined to be stars themselves, to perform like professionals. I also cried with laughter at the show's compere, Anthony Harris. His exuberance and quick wit was so captivating I could have listened to him for hours and hours. He deserves his own TV show. My particular thanks go to June and Christopher Keat, who founded CIVE over 26 years ago, for all their hard work and dedication in providing the wonderful gift of music to all the children in Enfield.
Edmonton kids did themselves proud when they battled it out in a singing and dancing competition to be crowned the borough's top performers. Edmonton Glee saw 20 schools performing at the Millfield Theatre, Silver Street, on Monday, in front of talent scouts who have promised scholarships to the world-famous Pineapple Dance Studios in Covent Garden to the children who show promise. The competition was organised by the Edmonton Schools Partnership, which works together to raise aspirations and provide opportunities for children in the area. The partnership commissioned Pineapple Performing Arts to deliver weekly glee clubs based on the music and singing from the American Glee. Spokeswoman Kika Sharalambos said, "The Glee project, based on the popular TV series, gives local children the opportunity to take part in glee clubs where they're able to showcase their development, their singing and dancing talents. The fully inclusive clubs, run by the inspirational tutors from Pineapple Performing Arts School, focus on fun and raising aspirations. There's also a competitive element where all glee clubs are brought together at the end of the project to perform at a prestigious London theatre in a live show in front of a panel of judges. The children didn't perform in central London because of parents' concerns about travelling into the capital in the wake of recent terrorist attacks, but instead performed on the stage at the Millfield Theatre.
Please issue witness appeal after fatal collision. Police are appealing for witnesses after a fatal collision between a car and two motorcyclists in Edmonton. One of the motorcyclists died, and the other was left with potentially life-changing injuries following the incident on the A10 Great Cambridge Road at 11:13 p.m. last Wednesday evening, June the 14th. A third motorcyclist, aged 39, who is believed to have been travelling south along the dual carriageway with them, was arrested on suspicion of dangerous driving. The driver of the car was not arrested, but is assisting police with their inquiries. The fatally injured motorcyclist was aged 26 and was pronounced dead at the scene. The other motorcyclist, aged 30, was taken to an East London hospital after suffering the potentially life-changing injuries. The driver of the car was also taken to hospital after suffering minor injuries. Detectives from the Serious Collision Investigation Unit are investigating. They are appealing for anyone who witnessed the collision or the events leading up to it to get in contact. Anyone with any information or anyone who witnessed the collision is asked to contact Chadwell Heath Traffic Garage on 020-8597 4874 or via Twitter at METCC, that's capital M, lowercase et, capital C, capital C. Alternatively, Crime Stoppers can be contacted anonymously on 0800 555 111.
A special message of congratulation from the Queen crowned staunch royalist Rosina Garnish's 100th birthday celebrations. The great-grandmother from Ashridge Gardens in Palmer's Green reached the special milestone recently and had a joint celebration with her 72-year-old daughter, Sheila, who shares the same birthday, on June the 7th. "That's a birthday present that lasts," Rosina's late husband Sid used to say. Dozens of close friends and family members gathered for a garden party to celebrate the special occasion on Sunday, June the 11th. "It was a fantastic day to spend together," said Sheila of Glebe Avenue, who is the oldest daughter of Rosina's 3 children. Rosina has been an Enfield resident for more than 50 years, but grew up in Hackney with sisters Florence and Alice. After finishing her training as a court dressmaker at trade school, Rosina's first job was in Bond Street, London, where she had the honour of making a leather pair of gloves for Clementine, the wife of former Prime Minister Sir Winston Churchill. "The centenarian has been fond of the royal family ever since." "I love them," she said. "They are just like us. They are genuine people." At the age of 23, Rosina married Sid in 1939. The couple had 3 children: Sheila, Marion, who is now 65, and Paul, 58. They first settled in Bowes Road for 5 years in Arnos Grove, followed by Ashridge Gardens. Alongside dressmaking from home, Rosina provided an after-school club for 15 years, where she cooked dinner for 6 children every evening during the week. She was also a carer for elderly residents in the borough, which her daughter Sheila said was part of her nature. "She's also always enjoyed looking after people," explained Sheila. Neighbours knew they could always rely on Rosina to repair their clothes, and she regularly mended uniforms for members at her husband's bowling club. Rosina used to be a keen gardener and continued sewing until she was 98, when she developed a cataract which has affected her vision. She was married for 50 years and celebrated her diamond wedding anniversary a month before Sid died at 81. She attributes her longevity to luck. Rosina enjoys reading romance novels and reciting poems at family gatherings, including one of her favourites, Charles Kingsley's My Little Doll. "She still knows all the words, which always impresses us all," said Sheila.
TV gardener Christine Walkden is among the celebrity lineup at Capel Manor's weekend event this month. Visitors to the Home and Garden Show in Bullsmore Lane, Enfield, will have the chance to quiz BBC's The One Show Gardener Guru on all things horticultural. Gardener's World BBC presenter Zephaniah Lynnda and a lecturer at Capel Manor College will also make a guest appearance. There will be inspiring ideas for visitors on how to make the most of their homes and gardens, artisan crafters, and a food village offering cuisines from around the world. The event is taking place in the grounds of Capel Manor Gardens on Saturday and Sunday. Live performances will feature contestants from 2 TV talent shows from last year, Sammy Jo Evans from The Voice and X Factor's Luana Martinez. Sound School students from the College of Haringey, Enfield and North East London in Hertford Road will also be performing. And an outside cinema will be screening the 1980s classic romantic drama Dirty Dancing on Saturday. Some of the cash raised from the event will be donated to Greenfingers Charity, which provides children's hospices with outdoor spaces. The Home and Garden Show at Capel Manor is set to be a truly spectacular event, said Glenn Caton from 51 Degree Events. Not only will there be a fantastic food village, outstanding entertainment on stage, 60 breathtaking show gardens and landscapes, there will also be 100 amazing trade stalls, and I am very excited that TV celebrity gardeners Christine Walkden and Zephaniah Lynnda will be joining us on both days.
A fundraising drive to pay for the restoration of an historic gate and a pretty landmark in Enfield has begun. Members of the Parish Council of St John's Church in Clay Hill are appealing for help in saving one of the area's prettiest wedding locations. The Lich Gate, which traditionally is where coffins were rested while waiting for a funeral to take place, was suffering from serious subsidence and has been removed piece by piece and put into storage. The parish council has been quoted at between £30,000 and £40,000 to drill a very deep borehole and replace the gate so that it is safe for generations to come. A church spokeswoman said, "We're looking at different funding streams, but the gate isn't as old as the church and isn't listed, so that rules out a couple of options. So we're saving what we can. It's a beautiful gate and a real landmark for people here." The existing church building is thought to date from Victorian times, and the original horse trough is still in place near the gate. St John's is a Venetian-style country church in a very rural setting and is dedicated to St John the Baptist. The next fundraiser in aid of the gate is a musical celebration with the Three Valleys Male Voice Choir, which is taking place on Saturday evening at St Luke's Church, the sister church to St John's.
If you remember the 60s, you weren't really there, goes the famous quote, referring to the mind-altering drug use synonymous with the era. But brilliant music is what the decade is most renowned for, and a live show featuring pop legends from the period lets everyone of whatever generation relive the swinging 60s experience at Edmonton's Millfield Theatre on Sunday night. In Bringing Back the 60s, memories of flower power, psychedelia, miniskirts, Carnaby Street, and the summer of love are revived. The sounds and atmosphere of one of the defining decades in music and popular culture are recreated by the new Armin Corner, the contemporary descendants of classic band Armin Corner, who were famous for hits such as Bend Me, Shake Me, If Paradise Was Half as Nice, High in the Sky, and Hello Susie, among others. Performing with them are two 60s icons, singer-songwriter Mike Darboe, formerly of Manfred Mann, and the singer known as The Voice, Chris Farlow. The 2-hour-long show is a nostalgia fest for aficionados of 60s music. The original Armin Corner was one of the most exciting and influential bands on the pop scene in the late 60s. With a mixture of mod, psychedelic power pop, with heavy horns, swirling Hammond organ, and the distinctive voice of Andy Fairweather Lowe, they became household names, and many of their hits were million sellers. The band were together 3 years before splitting up, and although there have been repeated requests for them to reform over the decades, the prospect became more and more remote. It was a long-standing friendship between Alan Jones, an original saxophonist with Armin Corner, and veteran sax player Frogman Curtis, which led to Curtis setting up new Armin Corner to keep the memory of the legendary band alive. Mike Darboe, who replaced Paul Jones as the Manfred Mann's lead singer, provided the vocals on the Manfred's classic hits Just Like a Woman, Semi-Detached Suburban Mr. James, Ha Ha, Said the Clown, and The Mighty Quinn. His award-winning songwriting credits include worldwide hits Handbags and Glad Rags, which Rod Stewart and the Stereophonics both recorded, and was the theme to the TV sitcom The Office, as well as writing the Foundation's hit Build Me Up Buttercup, which reached number 2 in the charts in 1968. Handbags and Glad Rags was written by Darboe for Chris Farlow, who originally recorded it, and composer and artiste perform it together on the Bringing Back the 60s show. Farlow is best known for his million-selling classic Out of Time, a Jagger and Richards composition, written especially for him, which was number 1 in the charts in the same week England won the World Cup in 1966.
And here's a letter from Pamela Burke, who's the Chief Executive of Enfield Carer Centre in Britannia House, Baker Street. Having just read your front page article, Carer Jailed, on June the 14th, I would like to make the distinction between the term carer, as distinct from care worker, an employee paid to support someone. Enfield Carer Centre supports carers with a variety of services such as information, advice, advocacy, counselling, training, carers breaks, benefits advice and peer support groups. There are approximately 30,000 people living in Enfield who identified themselves in the 2011 census as looking after a relative, partner or close friend who needs their help because of disability, illness, frailty or a substance misuse issue. These people are unpaid, family carers and part of 6.5 million carers in the UK. Many provide care for their loved ones for more than 35 hours a week. National research by Carers UK valued the contribution carers make at £132 billion each year, and that's close to the total annual cost of health spending in the UK. However, the term carer is too often misused to describe people who choose to perform the paid role of care worker. Family carers rarely have the luxury of choice over whether they provide necessary care to their relative. Last week was Carers Week, an annual campaign to raise awareness of caring, highlight the challenges carers face and recognise the contribution they make to families and communities throughout the UK. The numbers of unpaid carers is rising faster than the general population, and each day 6,000 people take on a caring role. But an online public poll, issued on June the 12th, showed that many people are unaware how likely it is they would take on a caring role and would be unprepared if they did become a carer. Carers have worse health than the general public. Carers providing 50 hours or more a week of care are more than twice as likely to be in bad health as non-carers. I do hope the Advertiser can help us to raise the profile of Enfield's carers as unsung heroes, providing essential support to their loved ones, and they need recognition for their voices to be heard.
Here's some sport. Leith's upbeat about squad, and it's about Enfield Town. New manager Andy Leith has reassured fans that it will not be long before Enfield Town's squad for next season starts to take shape. The past few weeks have seen a number of key members of the town side who reached the Isthmian League Premier Division playoffs last time round say farewell to the club, with midfielder Billy Crook and utility man John Muleba now having joined goalkeeper Nathan MacDonald, wide man Sammy B. Moutin and midfielder Scott Shulton in making the move to Braintree Town to team up again with former manager Bradley Quinton. Defenders Harold Joseph and Percy Kiangabeni have joined St Albans City, and several other players are also considering offers from other clubs. But Leith, who is thrilled to have been appointed by Town following his successful 10-year stint in charge of Chesham United, firmly believes he will be able to put together a squad which is capable of challenging for promotion. "This is a club I've long admired," he said. "I know the guys who are running it, and Enfield Town is an extremely well-run and well-supported club. It has been a busy and exciting time getting familiar with the club, speaking and meeting with the existing squad, appointing backroom staff, finalising pre-season games, sorting the pre-season training programme, meeting with key personnel in the club, and at the same time trying to agree terms with new players. It's been an interesting baptism. I've tried to keep pretty much everyone in the existing squad, but some players have left the club to play at a higher level. They've been honest with me, and there is not a lot you can do or offer to stop players bettering themselves. Players are weighing up their options at the moment, and there are some who have indicated they want to stay around." Lise added, "We want players who are here for the right reasons. We have to operate within our means, as the club has done successfully for the last few years. This means that we might miss out on some players. What I do know is we will have players coming to us because Enfield Town is a great place to play football. The support is excellent. The playing surface is first class. Players will like the environment we create here, the way we like to play, and they get well looked after." The manager will be assisted by former Birmingham City and Cardiff City defender Darren Pearce, who has also been registered as a player. Has also revealed that he is close to confirming a number of new faces he firmly believes will have a big impact at the club. We have a number of players coming to join us or close to it. In some case, holidays have taken precedence, but I hope to have terms agreed with a number by early next week. We have targeted a number of players we would like to bring in to strengthen the squad as we look to build on last season. They're all quality, experienced players who will significantly strengthen the squad. We also have some selected players coming into pre-season that we will look at on a trial basis, all of whom we think have the pedigree to make it at our level. We will use a couple of the early friendlies to look at players. We are focusing on giving young, local players an opportunity, and, with that in mind, we have spoken at length with Marvin Walker at Enfield Borough and John Meehan, who runs our under-17s and under-18s. Lise is also hoping to hold a fans forum in the coming weeks, details of which will be announced in the near future.
An improved performance from Southgate could not prevent them from suffering a 4-wicket defeat at home to table-topping Teddington on Saturday, which saw them slip into the relegation zone in the Premier Division of the Kingspan Middlesex County Cricket League. Having been humbled by 10 wickets at Finchley in their previous match, Southgate were much improved in this encounter, but it was still not enough to stop them from being beaten again. Although Alvin Durgasharan, 28, Tom Edridge, 24, Keaton Critchell, 22, Ayush Sahota, 21, and Luke Hutton, 21, all got off to starts after the host had been put into bat, no one was able to make a significant contribution, and they ended up being bowled out for 150, with Alistair Pollard taking 7 for 48. Southgate began well with the ball as they dismissed both openers cheaply. But a fine innings from Tim Armstrong, 77, ultimately proved decisive, and Teddington were able to grind their way to 151 for 6 to seal victory. Ashley Sivaraja, 4 for 79, shone with the ball for Southgate, bowling unchanged throughout the visitors' reply. However, Enfield and Winchmore Hill both enjoyed victories, which kept them in second place in the second and third divisions respectively. A remarkable innings from Neville Talbot was the highlight of Enfield's crushing 9-wicket win at Eastcote, as he smashed 91 off just 35 balls, including 10 fours and 7 sixes, to help them race to 259 for 1 in 35 overs to seal their triumph. Jack Plum contributed just 20 to an opening stand of 112, but he went on to finish on an unbeaten 104, sharing in an unbroken partnership of 147 for second wicket, with Chris Long, 62 not out. Earlier, Eastcote had posted a total of 256 for 6, batting first, with Aman Lote, 63, and Andrew Hazard, 57, both playing well. Meanwhile, Winchmore Hill eased to a 5-wicket win in their match at basement side Bessborough. Nirav Gantiwala, 50 not out, led a strong fight back from the hosts, which helped them to recover from 11-3 to reach a competitive score 11-4-3, to reach a competitive score of 214 for 9. The outcome remained in the balance when Hill slipped to 138 for 5 in reply, but skipper Delaray Terre Blanche settled the match by smashing 77 not out off just 33 balls, as the visitors made it to 216 for 5. Southgate go to Richmond on Saturday, while Enfield host Harrow St Mary's and Winchmore Hill entertain Wickham House.
New Cockfosters manager Lee Woodridge is confident he can build on the good work from his predecessor Dean Barker by maintaining the dramatic progress the club has made over the past 2 years. Barker decided to stand down at the end of the last season, believing he had taken the club as far as he could after guiding them to third in the Spartan Premier Division, their highest ever finish at Step 5 of non-league football. Cockfosters acted swiftly to replace Barker by appointing former Beaconsfield boss Woodridge, and the new man in charge is excited by the challenge that lies ahead. "I'm very pleased to have been given the job," he said. "The previous manager obviously did extremely well, and there is a good group of players at the club. I'd like to take the club one step further if I can. I think the cup competitions are very important, and would like us to progress as far as we can and hopefully break a few club records along the way. It will be hard to top what the club did in the league last season, but I'd like to give it a big push to see if we can go that bit further. I like to try and play good football at all times if possible. I like people to get on the ball and express themselves, but that obviously depends on the types of players you've got." Cockfosters begin pre-season training on July the 4th, with Woodridge looking to hold 3 days of open trials from July the 4th to the 6th before he starts to put together his squad.
We've reached the end of our programme for this week. Thank you for listening. So from the team of Ros, Sonia, Alan and Phillip on the controls, it's goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Please remember to turn over the address label in your postal packet. Put the memory stick into the packet and return it to us as soon as possible, in readiness for the next edition. And don't forget, you can call Diane de Jersey regarding any help you may require in connection with Enfield Talking Newspaper on 020 8805 6578. Coming up next is the latest news and information for the Greater London area from InfoSound. The Enfield Talking Newspaper will be with you again in 1 week's time.